welcome to Kumi Now. I am deeply touched by our intro song today. Thank you so much for that. My name is Sarah, and I'm hosting today from Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. I confess to being a settler on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral peoples. And this land is in the Haldimand Tract of land promised to the Six Nations of the Grand River. It is an ongoing land claim that is still unfairly resolved. As an herbalist and a plant lover who remembers harvesting olives and planting olive trees in Palestine many times, I'm so grateful to be hosting for this week's Kumi Now online gathering as we look at the role that olive trees and farming play in Palestinian culture and its economy. Before we start, I'd like to remind you that the session is being broadcast live on Facebook. So if you do not wish to appear, please turn off your video feed. We would also love if you could quickly share one of the links that are being shared in chat so that others may join. We're now inviting people from the audience to tell us how you're applying Kumi Now back in your community, or are otherwise advocating for Palestine. If you have an idea or project that you'd like to share for up to 5 minutes in a future Kumi Now meeting, please email us at kumi@kuminow.com. Now it is time for our weekly activism survey. Mark, could you please launch the poll? Sorry, Mark, I may have hit a wrong button on the poll. You might need to relaunch that. Thanks. So we hope that you'll find this session interesting and informative. And I'd like to start by having everyone you'll see today introduce themselves, perhaps after we see our poll results. So as you can see, the correct answer for how many olive trees were uprooted or burned in 2020 was 10,000. And olive oil in Nablus used to be used as a stand-in for money. All right, Omar, would you like to take over?
Yes, my name is Omar Harami, and I will be sharing with you the news update from the ground. Denise? You are on mute.
Denise Asad, a storyteller from Caesarea, living in Haifa with my family.
And our speaker, sorry, go ahead, Omar.
Yes, Father Raed is with us. I see him in the chat. أبونا؟
مش سامع شكله.
Abuna, you are muted. Yes.
Yeah, this is the problem. I was trying to speak. Yeah.
Yes. May you introduce yourself, Abuna?
احنا رايحين نبدا الان موضوعنا.
لا بس بدنا هلا اول شيء بس
I'm sorry. Yeah, so I am Father Raed Abu Sahlieh. I am Arab, Palestinian, Christian, Catholic, and priest at the same time. Actually, I'm the parish priest of Reni near Nazareth in Galilee, but I was working for 25 years in the West Bank.
Thank you. We look forward to hearing more from you soon. Omar, could you update us on what is going on in Palestine?
Yes. I hope you're seeing the screen. Yes, you are.
Yes. Yes, looks good.
So, so to be very fast, Israel is reaching. I mean, they're doing a very good job with the vaccination. Estimates, they say that they might reach in the coming week or 2 weeks herd immunity, and that is that would be the first country in the world to be able to vaccinate over 75% of the population. The situation is completely different in the West Bank, in the occupied territories and Gaza Strip, where very few people have been vaccinated, less than 1% of the population. Actually, Israel has an excess of vaccines that they are really donating to countries around the world. Of course, not the Palestinian territories. Netanyahu released yesterday a press release that they are expecting another, before the elections in Israel, he is expecting 4 new countries to build a peace treaty with Israel. Nobody knows, but people are speculating that these countries could be Niger, Mauritania, Indonesia, and Kuwait. But he has promised 4 new countries that have not had relationships with Israel before to start normalizing the relationship with Israel. Of course, we Palestinians don't feel that there has anything that has changed. The occupation is still on the ground. Human rights violations continue, but we continue to witness one country after another abandoning their friendships and ties with the Palestinian people. So it's a bit frustrating, confusing, and so on. Israel is heading next Tuesday. There will be Israeli elections. So it's basically, there's 2 camps inside Israel, and one camp that wants Netanyahu to remain in governance and to lead the country in the 4th election. Another camp that does not want Netanyahu to continue. So, I mean, there are other major issues on the table that needs to be discussed, but that's really the decisive matter inside Israel. It's not like ending the occupation or equal rights or economic measures. It's either you want Netanyahu or you don't want Netanyahu. So, this the country will be going through elections. Israel. There is a very interesting news. The Present, it's a new movie, it's a new film that is actually going for Oscar nomination. The story is about a father and a daughter who are trying to get a wedding present for his wife, the mother, for their anniversary. And I haven't seen the film, but I've read some of the reviews. I don't know when it will be out for people to have access to it, but it's the journey of the father and the daughter going through checkpoints to try to be able to buy the anniversary gift. So it's really interesting that it is being nominated for an Oscar Prize. Hopefully that this will even bring more attention to the cause of the Palestinian people. For many of you who have visited Jerusalem, anybody who visits Jerusalem are always, you hear about Sheikh Jarrah. Sheikh Jarrah, there's over 28 families that house over 550 Palestinian members in total. They're going through court cases and daily demonstrations almost on a daily basis to try to stop the Israeli government from evicting them, so that it's for settler organizations who are attempting to get rid of them and to house Israeli settlers in their homes. So many people, I mean, it's there's a new campaign done by the young people within these families, and it's called Sheikh Jarrah, Save Sheikh Jarrah. So if you'd like to join, they're very active locally and they're trying to expand internationally. We're trying to, we hope in the coming weeks we will have them in some of the Kumi sessions. They're trying their best. They're trying to do the impossible in the hopes that the international community and decision makers will pay attention to these over 28 families. There's also another story today of this young kid. His name is Abdullah Abeid. He's from Al-Isawiyya village. It's a small village in Jerusalem, very close to Jerusalem. He is 16 years old. He has just completed 4 months arrested at his own home. And now there's a new Israeli law that it's after you cannot stay, even if you're a minor. You cannot only stay at home arrest, you need to go and hand yourself in. So he's saying goodbye to his mother and he's going to jail for 2 months, although he is 16 years old. Minors, 50% of the minors who are being arrested by the Israeli military are in Jerusalem on their own. So, I mean, this story just shows the tax that we pay for living into Jerusalem. I mean, kids are usually, teenagers are complaining about, it is staying at home and COVID-19 or studying online. I mean, this, in addition to all of these things that trouble our young kids and children, he is going to spend 2 months now in jail, even at the age of 16. So please hold him in your prayers. I would like to also to update you, Father Maroon Tannous Andraus shared the news about him last week. He's still at hospital. He's hoping to get a kidney transplant. He's not doing very well. Please hold him in your prayers. He is a wonderful priest who continues to serve the community in different aspects. So please hold him in your prayers. Thank you. That's it for this week.
Thank you, Omar, for sharing the news of what is going on there for all of us to be paying attention to. I would now like to turn things over to Denise Assad, our wonderful storyteller, who will be telling us a story that relates to today's issues. All yours, Denise.
Hello, everybody. I am so happy to be with you for another week. I will start with the small thing about me and my father. I started to talk the myth, and the family myth talk that I am starting to talk when I was 10 months, and I didn't stop. So I was very young when I started to learn poems by heart. But I was really bothering my father, my family, and my father, he didn't stop finding educational treatment, what to do with this girl who is not stopping talking, until he recognized that when he is telling me a story, that he was really wonderful storyteller, I was really totally silent. And this story that I am going to tell you today, it's one of the first folk tales that my father told me. And there is something while we were talking before this where we start this meeting about in Arabic, storyteller, we have two words. Storyteller is hakawati from the word telling, haki, and the other word is rawi, and it's from the source of watering. Rawi is the one who is watering. It's like stories watering our soul, like we are watering the plants. So it's very common things between the storyteller and the farmer and who is watering the plants. Um, so once upon a time, there was three friends, pagan, bird, and donkey. They were really very, very close, loving friends. When the pagan had a headache, the donkey will take the aspirin and the pagan will feel really better. And when the teacher punished the bird unjustly, the donkey was really upset from this. And when the donkey have pain in his stomach, the pagan will take the soup or the chamomile tea and he will feel good. They really have so unique, special relationship. Once they were walking around their village, and it was really boring. And then there was no Facebook, no WhatsApp, nothing to do. They played all the games that they know, the folk games. They run after each other, they fly after each other. Then they saw a piece of land. They say, "Oh," the donkey said, "I have an idea. Why we why we don't go and cultivate this land?" But the wise pagan say, "No, we have to ask if this land is belonging to somebody." They went, asked the people, the old people there, and they say, "No, this land is public. In our villages, they used to have public land that anybody can plant it, anybody can go with his sheep to there. So it's public. It belongs to all the people of the village." Okay, they have a meeting. The pagan, the bird, and the donkey. They have to decide what to plant this piece of land. The donkey say, we have to plant it with watermelon. Oh, yummy, yummy. I really like it. The bird say, "No, I can't eat watermelon. We have to plant it with chips." Oh my God, say the pagan. Chips? You can't plant chips. You can plant potatoes and you can prepare chips from potatoes. No, it's not a good idea. And I told you that the pagan was really the wise and the clever one from all these three friends. She say, "We have to plant it with barley. Three of us like barley." The donkey say, "Yeah, I like barley." The bird say, "Yes." They went to the farmer and asked him to loan them a barley grains. They went to the land, they clean it from stones, from weeds, they prepare it for planting the grain, the barley's grain. They spread the grain all over the land. They took care every day. One of them was responsible to watering it, to clean it every day. You know, if you plant, you are a farmer, you really need to take care of the land. You can't leave it like this with the weeds to grow. So they watch the barley became a green plants, lovely ones, and they kept growing up and up until May came, the month of the harvest. So they agree that they will come in Monday, early in the morning, and they will go together to collect all the barley. Okay, the weekend finished. Monday morning, the pigeon was the first one to woke up. She put the eyeglasses. The bird put the block sun cream and was ready. And the donkey put his hat. And they walked, the three of them, to the piece of land. The pagan, the bird and the donkey. When the pagan arrived, there was no barley in the field. It can't be. The bird said, what happened? The donkey said, I don't know. I didn't eat it. The pagan, I told you she was the wise one. Okay, guys, my grandmother used to make us an exam. If she wants to know who is lying and who is telling the truth, she was taking us to Zuela well. There was a well calling Zuela. Bir Zuela is the name of this folk tale. Okay, said the donkey. Okay, said the bear, the pagan, the bird, and the donkey went to the well. First, start the pagan. She stopped on the one edge of the well and she was saying, I will tell it in Arabic and I will explain it to you in English. حم حم أنا الحمامي حم حم أكلي قدامي حم حم من كني أكلتك يا الشعير حم حم أو أعبوس البير. And she flew from the one edge to the other one. She didn't fall in the well. She was telling the truth. And she was telling in Arabic, I like dami, it's like hummus, it's like fistuk. We used to eat. She was saying I like something else, and I didn't eat the barley. The time of the bird, she stopped on the edge of the well, and she was telling, زئزي أنا العصفورة زئزي أكلي نمورة زئزي إن كاني أكلتك يا الشعير زئزي أو أعبوس البير. She was telling, I like to eat a sweet in the Palestinian sweets, namura, the harisi, and I didn't eat the barley. And she flew from one edge to the other, and she didn't fell in the well. She was telling the truth. It was the turn of the donkey. He stopped in the edge and he was saying, أنا الحمير أكل شعير إن كني أكلتك يا الشعير تصبح البير. He was telling in Arabic, this is the voice of the donkey. I am the donkey. I like to eat barley, and I didn't eat the barley from the field. And he wanted to jump from the one edge of the well to the other edge, and he fell in the well. And he started to scream, oh, my friends, dear bird, help me, save me. The pagan looked to the bird and she asked her, you think we have to save him? She said, of course we have to save him. We have to forgive him. He is one of our best friends. We can't let him in the well. She said, oh, but he cheated us. He really was very bad. She said, no, we have to forgive him. The pagan and the bird, they hold the donkey hard, really, and took him out of the well. He was really ashamed of himself. He said, I am really sorry, please let me be your friend. They said, but you cheated us. He said, I promise I will not do it again. And they continue to be the most wonderful, close friend, loving ones. وحكايتي حكيتها وبقلوبكم خبيتها ويا ريت تحبوها زي ما أنا حبيتها. I told you my story. I put it in your heart and hoping that you will like it as I do. Bye bye everyone. I hope to meet sometime again.
Thank you so much, Denise, for that story. So now we turn our attention to the main issue of the week and our special guest. So as they speak, if you think of a question, just type it in the chat and we'll try to get to as many of them as possible when we reach the question and answer at the end. Abuna, please go ahead.
First of all, thank you for inviting me to share with you some thoughts. And I thank also Denise for the interesting story. She is a real storyteller. Jesus himself was a storyteller. Imagine that in the Bible we have New Testament 38 parables, and these are also short stories from the daily life. If you are interested, we have in Taibe, I was the parish priest of Taibe, the house of the parables, an old house which is 300 years old, where you visit and understand most of the parables of the gospel. And for your knowledge, just I came back from Jerusalem, and the new book was published by one of our priests about the female eagle Imqash'am, and there are 360 stories from the international literature, which is also told at the tongue of the animals. Okay, this is another issue. So, you know, I don't know what you expect from me, but I will not make a lecture. It's a talk, and it's not scientific, it's personal, because it's part of my experience of having this passion for olive trees in Palestine, for many reasons. First reason, that I am a farmer and son of farmers from a small village nearby Jenin in the West Bank. And my family used to have almost 1,000 olive trees. This is our property. And now I own 500 of them, because it was my part of the heritage of my family, and I would like to keep it. So this is the first reason. The second reason, in 2002, I was appointed as a parish priest in Taibe. Taibe is a small village nearby Ramallah, and it's a biblical village of Ephraim. And it was mentioned 6 times in the Old Testament and 1 time in the New Testament, when Jesus came after the resurrection of Lazarus. The Gospel of St. John, chapter 11, verse 54. You remember, he couldn't go around freely in Jerusalem. He went to a town called Ephraim, on the border of the desert, where he stayed with his disciples. And I discovered that the main source of income of this village is olive trees. Imagine, there are almost 30,000 olive trees around the village. And I discovered the first mention of olive trees and olive oil in the Bible was about Ephraim in the 8th century before Christ. In the book of Hosea, chapter 8, Hosea is blaming Ephraim because they are selling, imagine, the olive oil to Egypt, to the enemies, in exchange of wheat. So he is blaming them, why you are collaborating with the enemies, imagine. So all my story started there. So when you enter in the olive oil, you have 2 choices, because it's very slippery. Either to break your neck, you will slip and you'll break your neck, or you remain inside. So I remained inside the olive oil and olive trees. In fact, in 2002, when I arrived, I saw that the main source of income is olive oil. There was a lot of product, no market and no price, at the point that they used to pay the tuition of the children in our school, private school, with olive oil. A tuition of a student is 6 gallons of 16 liters. So before Christmas, I found myself with almost 800 gallons of olive oil, which means 12 tons. If it was beer or wine, we can drink it, but olive oil is very heavy. So for this reason, I tried to find a market for the olive oil of Taibe in Europe. I called a friend of mine in France who had in a fair trade company, told them, can we sell our oil in France? He came, so we started to sell our olive oil in 2,500 olive supermarkets in France with this fair trade system. So then we had problems with the custom in France. So we worked with the European community to have the tax exemption. The tax exemption, we negotiated with the EU, and we took a tax exemption for 3,000 tons of olive oil, Palestinian olive oil, which can enter Europe without paying tax. For your knowledge, in Palestine, we have 12 millions of olive trees, 12 millions, and in a normal year, we produce 37,000 tons of olive oil. Our capacity of consumption is not more than 15,000 tons. We used to export a lot of olive oil to Jordan, but now in Jordan, they have also olive oil to the Gulf countries. But now in Saudi Arabia, they have 20 millions of olive trees. So there is a real problem. So the second problem we faced is the problem of the quality, the acidity, because in Europe and in the USA, for example, they require extra virgin olive oil. I discovered that the reason of the high acidity that we don't have an olive press. So I bought an olive press from Italy, installed in the village, and we have control of quality and have a better quality. So I had to imagine buy a new modern olive press that we installed in Taipei. Then we had another problem, what to do with the old olive oil and the high degree of acidity. So I suggested two things: industrialization of the product. So we started to produce cosmetic products, shampoo, gel, liquid soap, and soap, so that we also industrialize our product. Then I suggested another idea is to transform the product, the olive oil, in a sign of peace. For your knowledge, I am a specialist of nonviolence. I wrote my doctoral thesis about violence and nonviolence in the Islamic thought and practice. So I said, can we transform the product, which is olive oil, in a message for peace? So I launched an initiative that I called the Peace Lamp in the Holy Land. It's a lamp like this, you see, like a dove, you see, like a dove, that we light with olive oil. And we suggested to put a peace lamp like this from ceramic. It's from ceramic in every single church in the world, with two conditions: that they pray for peace in the Holy Land. The second, they use the olive oil from the Holy Land to light it. So the product will become a message for peace and also at the same sign of solidarity. So we started a laboratory to produce these peace lamps, and we put 100,000 lamps in 100,000 churches all over the world. I said we have to invade heaven with our prayers, and at the end of the day, the good Lord will hear our prayers. So this is the initiative of the peace lamps in the Holy Land. It's a small product, but it's a very interesting product. From the income of all these things, imagine I built a medical center in Taipei, and I built an elderly home in Taipei, and I used to cover all the expenses, and I provided work to 70 people with a monthly salary. It means what? 70 families which will have a monthly income. Then with Italian friends, this is another step. I thought about the olive trees, you know, the Garden of Gethsemane in Jerusalem, the Mount of Olives. You know, in the Mount of Olives, there are these eight big and old olive trees. So I had a very strange idea to clonate these olive trees and give every pilgrim who would come to the Holy Land a souvenir for his pilgrimage in olive tree, which he can plant at home as a souvenir of his pilgrimage. But you know, those who are responsible of this holy place are the Franciscans. I went to the Custos of the Holy Land asking him to give us the permission to clonate these 8 old olive trees. He told me, stop. We have to, I want, before giving you the permission, to know the age of these 8 olive trees. So I had to bring specialists from Italy, from Florence, to study 3 things about these 8 olive trees of Gethsemane. First of all, the genetic code. The second is the health code situation of the 3 trees, and mostly the age. So we did from 2009 to 2012, during 3 years, a big study about the 8 old olive trees of Gethsemane in Jerusalem. Because if you go there, they would tell you it is from the time of Jesus, it is 2,000 years old, but the results are fantastic. If you allow me, I don't know, I will share with you the results of this and show you. Then I will go to the subject of, because it is step by step. So I will show how can we share this, to share the screen. So this is the Gethsemane garden, as you see. And in it, we have this, around this beautiful church, we have almost 460 olive trees. But the most important, the trees which are at your left hand, the 8 olive trees. This is the entrance. شايفين انتم? And these are the 8 olive trees. As you see, it is huge. So what we have done, I am showing you the 8 trees. What we have done, that we have taken samples from these olive trees, from the big trunks, from the earth, from the leaves, from the olives, and even the oil, and we send it to a laboratory, 2 laboratories. One is in Udine in Italy, and the second is in Vienna to make the study. As you see, these are the specialists who came from Italy. I am showing you, it's a big study. As you see, even we pressed the olives of Gethsemane in our olive press in Taibi to also test the olive oil. You see, I am here with a friend of mine taking from the earth of Gethsemane, and these are the 3 scientists who did the work. Okay. هلا بدنا ايش كيف برجع للشاشة العادية؟ So the results, I will share with you the results are the following. First of all, these 8 olive trees are the oldest olive trees in the world. And the second result, they are without any disease, no virus at all. And they are also sisters and brothers which means from the same kind. And the most important, the age is not unfortunately 2,000 years, but it goes back to 1,149, which means almost 872 years old. And this means that they are the oldest olive trees in the world. So we did this study, and it is a very beautiful study. And I can say that we are proud that we are the first people in the history and in the whole world who did such a study, because it is very expensive to do it. It costs almost $100,000, and nobody was able to do that before us, with my colleagues from University of Florence in Italy. Why we did this? Not only to clonate the 8 olive trees, but also to show the world that these 8 olive trees are part of the heritage, of the Palestinian heritage of the Holy Land. Unfortunately, when we finished this study and published it in Rome and in Jerusalem and even in Ramallah, the Costa didn't give us the permission to clonate it, because he said he was afraid that it will become a kind of business. But for us, it was not like that. We wanted to give the pilgrims a souvenir from his visit and pilgrims to the Holy Land. And we wanted to teach them the spirit of Gethsemane. The spirit of Gethsemane is to do the will of the Lord, and to not to be afraid from death. This is the spirit. After this story of the 8 olive trees of Gethsemane, I was changed from Taipei, and I became parish priest in Ramallah, then a director of Caritas Jerusalem, and since 3 years I am in Reni, in Galilee. And I discovered that Galilee has a lot of olive trees. So now I have a new project. I am doing the archive of all the old olive trees of Palestine, in every single village and in every single place, especially in the destroyed villages. You know, in 48, they destroyed 484 villages, which means 81% of the villages which used to exist before 48. So in 67, they destroyed only 3 villages. One is Emmaus near Latrun, Emmaus, which is mentioned in the Bible in Luke chapter 24, and Yalu and Bet Nuba. So I said, they destroyed the villages, the storm. They expelled the people, but what remained? The olive trees. So this is my idea. Now I have a Facebook page called Old Olive Trees of Palestine. And almost every day and every week, I publish a story of one village, one destroyed village. And unfortunately, when you go to visit, you would find nothing. Almost everything is destroyed. But you will find there the olive trees. And these are very, 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 very old olive trees. Most of them are more than 200, 300, 400 years olive trees. I give you an example. You know our very famous poet, Mahmoud Darwish. Mahmoud Darwish, 2 days ago was his 80th anniversary. He was born in a small village near Akko called Al-Birwi. So I decided to go and visit Al-Birwi, and I found nothing. I found only the 2 rooms of the school, but I found more than 1,000 olive trees, very beautiful olive trees. So and of course, in the destroyed villages, you would find olive trees and cactus. You know, the cactus, because the cactus have a soul. The cactus have a soul. So I did a short documentary about Al-Birwi, a short documentary about Emmaus. And my Italian friends also did a documentary about the village of Emmaus called The Cactus Have a Soul. You can go and visit my page, Old Olive Trees of Palestine, and see these beautiful olive trees, which are remaining witness of a culture, of a very sad story of people who lived there, had their farms, their olive trees, and now they are in Lebanon, they are in Syria, they are all over the world. Some of them live nearby. For example, 6 kilometers from Reni, there is Sepphoris. Sepphoris is the birthplace of Joachim and Anna, the father and mother of Mary. In 48, the inhabitants of Sepphoris were 7,000, and of all of them were expelled. The whole village was destroyed. Part of them went to Lebanon, and part of them went to Nazareth, which means 4 kilometers from Sepphoris. And those who are living in Sepphoris can't at all return back to their village to rebuild their homes, or even to farm their land, or even to harvest their olive trees. And in Sepphoris, I have a documentary about Sepphoris. I found huge olive trees. So this is I think that Sausan and Sabil invited me to tell you this story, that they destroyed the stone. In Arabic, it sounds very beautiful. Hadamu al-hajar, the stone. Taradu al-bashar, they expelled the humans, al-bashar. But what remained? Ash-shajar. Ash-shajar, which are the olive trees. Ash-shajar. So if you imagine that we had 484 villages which were completely destroyed. If I can do 1 village, 2 villages every week, I will need almost 2, 3, 4, 5 years to work. But this archive will become the best and biggest archive of old olive trees. But you will tell me you are a foolish, what a passion you have. You have to know that the olive tree is not a tree. Every single olive tree has its own personality, and it has its own meaning and its own shape. It means that behind this olive tree, there was a farmer who 300 years old or 200 years, who planted it, and their son and daughter and nephews were taking care of it and harvest it and eating the olives and the oil of this. And now these olive trees are there, abandoned. Nobody is taking care of them. And I came after hundreds of years in front of every single olive tree to take a picture of this tree. And I give them a name, imagine, because according to the shape or to the place. And I can tell you a lot of stories. It is very interesting. For example, you know the famous caricature painter Naji Al-Ali. maybe you heard about him, Naji Al-Ali, who was a caricature painter who was assassinated in '87 in London. He comes from a village which is 10 kilometers far from here, called Al-Shajara. Al-Shajara, in Arabic, it means the tree, because there is a dome, old dome, a tree there. He was born in 41, in 37 there. So I went to Al-Shajara and I took the pictures of all the old olive trees in Al-Shajara to commemorate the paintings of Naji Al-Ali, as I commemorated the paintings of the olive trees of the poems of Mahmoud Darwish, our great poem. You know, Mahmoud Darwish wrote a poem about olive trees. He said, if the olive tree would know who planted it, the oil will become tears. And while I was walking around in his village, because there is nothing, even the remaining stones are covered with herb, with thorns, and so on. I said, if the olive trees would know who planted it, the oil will become not tears, but blood. It's a very sad story, but it is a very interesting story to tell to our forefathers, our children in the future. So this is my experience. Now, from the song I heard, from the publicity you did, you are speaking about cutting olive trees in the West Bank, uprooting olive trees in the West Bank. This is true. And I have an archive document of all the stories of uprooting and destroying and cutting olive trees. I can show you very, very sad pictures. Almost every year, every day, olive trees are uprooted. And some of the families now who are closed by the separation wall in Qalqilia, in Tul Karim, near the settlements, they can't have don't have the permission to go from the other side of the separation wall to harvest their olive trees. And in this case, it will, with time, it will be abandoned. And this is a very sad story. To finish, because maybe you have questions, today I was coming from Jerusalem, and the ways gave me a new way I didn't know from Modi'in. Modi'in is a settlement from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv, and it is a big settlement built on confiscated lands of the Palestinian occupied territories, a big settlement in which a lot of Hasidic and religious Jews are living. So I was very sad to see what, and I will finish here, on the circles, on the roads, there are huge olive trees planted in the circles. One of them, I took the picture of them, is at least 300 years old, or more even. The problem of the olive tree is you can't know how old it is. It is not, you have to study by carbon-14 in special laboratories, and every test costs $500, imagine. So you can, it is not like the trees where you have circles and every year is a circle. So I stopped in front of this olive tree, which is planted in the circle in a road in the settlement of Modi'in. I am sure that it was uprooted from a village nearby, from Imwas or from Yalo or Beit Nuba, and was taken and planted there. You see, so this is my story. I will finish by a quote of my dear friend Father Rafiq Khoury, who is a priest from the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem, and according to my opinion, is one of the biggest theologians of the Palestinian people. Also, Pastor Naim Atiq is a big theologian, liberation theology and justice and peace. He said, normally in Christian faith, we have the Holy Trinity. Yeah, you know that. In Palestinian faith, we have another Holy Trinity. This other Holy Trinity is Al-Insan, which means human beings. The second is land, Al-Ard. The third is Az-Zaytun, olive trees. So our Palestinian separated Trinity is human beings, land, and Zaytun, which mean olive trees. And thank you for your patience and for your time. If you have any question, I'm ready. You can visit my homepage, my page, which is an open page, Old Olive Trees Offer, and you can take, I have my logo on every single olive tree, because, and the name of the village from which I took it, because after having more than 50,000 olive trees, I can't know from where it is. But if you tell me this olive tree from where it is, I can take you and tell you this is the olive tree in that village, in that place. So to tell you what? To tell you that for me, the olive trees are very important, have their own responsibility. My father, when I was a small kid, we used to go to our farm with olive trees, which are beautiful and very green. He was telling me always, look at them, how are they laughing? You don't hear their voice? So I was astonished, how come my father is laughing with the olive trees and speaking with his olive trees? So when I slipped in olive oil and olive trees with the experience I told you, I also talk with olive trees.
Shukran Abuna. Thank you so much, Father Raed, for sharing your wonderful stories. You bring to mind, so here in Canada, there's a famous Irish botanist, Diana Beresford Kroger, and she is called the woman who speaks for the trees because of her advocacy to protect them. So really, Abuna, I think you are the father who speaks for the olive trees in Palestine.
But Sarah, I would like to blame you and Canadian people, because in the place of Emmaus, they planted trees and it is called Canada Park. So they transformed, and I took all the names of the donors through the Jewish National Fund. So you have to be ashamed and tell your government to remove the name of Canada from this park. I saw people picnicking last, it was not this Sunday, two Sundays, in the Purim feast of the Jewish feast. It was full of picnicking, people grilling and eating and playing. So I was very, not angry, but astonished. They uprooted 2,500 people who used to live. I bought, you can see in the documentary of Emmaus, 40 pictures from a soldier who participated in the destruction of Emmaus, and I paid $4,000. Every picture $100. During the destruction, there is the mosque, there is the school, and there is the bus, and people are fleeing. You can see this. I have a short film about Emmaus, and it is called now Canada Park. I'm sorry to tell you that. I'm sorry, but I was very angry.
Yeah, I have been there. It is shameful. Really, it is very shameful. Thank you for bringing that to our attention as well.
You can see the pictures of the destruction of the village in a documentary about Emmaus 2 weeks ago in this page. There is a film about that.
Okay. Yeah, it would be great to find that. Thank you. And I do want to thank you also for your dedicated service to document and tell the stories of all these old olive trees in Palestine. We don't have many questions, so if anyone else has questions they want to post in the chat, please do. But one question we do have is wondering if you work together with Uprooted, the organization that documents the...
You know, I saw a lot of their documentaries about the destroyed villages, but I don't know them personally. I would like to contact them. I used to work before with Rabbis for Human Rights, with Eric Asherman, Jeremy Milgram, and so on. And we also founded a new movement called Clergymen for Peace. And it is composed from clergy people from the Jewish religion, Christian religion, and Muslim, and even Druze. So I know Zakharot, they have a lot of interesting things. I hope to meet them. But now I am doing this personally as like entertainment and fun and discovering alone. I will show you this book, a very big book. And here this is written in English before, Walid Al-Khalidi. Walid Al-Khalidi is a big scholar in the United States, كي لا ننسى, so that we will not forget the name of the book. And he has here all the stories of the 484 olive destroyed villages. And you can find inside this book the map of Palestine before 48. And to find the village, because sometimes you find a settlement in the place of the village. For example, Al-Shajara, there is a settlement. Lubia, there is Levi sometimes. So you have, I take this map with me to locate the village. It's not easy. They, you know, they used to come to Europe, to Canada, plant a tree in Palestine. We would like to make the desert bloom. So you pay $100 and they would write your name on the tree that you plant. And they covered all the destroyed villages with forests. So, for example, in Al-Shajara, there is a forest which was planted by South Africa. And I was very glad that a South African Jew came to Al-Shajara in front of the people of Al-Shajara who live in another village and read a declaration in which he says that I am sorry for what we have done with your village, and I am also sorry because we planted this South Africa forest in, at the place of your village. So you have to understand that what I told you about the olive trees is not only olive trees, it is faces and story behind every single village and olive tree, because you don't find the village. I find only the olive trees. So the olive trees for me speak about the story of these people.
Yes.
I hope that you understand my idea. It's not foolishness that I have a hobby to take pictures of olive trees. No, because I saw thousands of millions of olive trees. I am speaking behind every olive tree there is a face and people and story.
Yes, that relationship, right, between the person and the land and the tree that you've talked about. I have another question here for you. Someone is interested in knowing about the radio station that you started. Share with us about that.
No, you know, in 2010, I had this idea to launch the first Christian radio station in Taipei. We bought the equipment, we prepared the studios and everything. And unfortunately, in 2000, and we have even the antenna above the bell tower of our church. And I was changed, and unfortunately, it doesn't function. But now with the Facebook, with YouTube, internet, everybody has his own radio station. I have my own, you know, during this COVID-19, we transformed the houses of our families in a church, because we broadcast live every single ceremony that we have. And we developed all the technology to reach people, not in our parish only, but all our friends all over the world. I had sometimes people from the United States who are living there since 50 years, telling me, thank you, Abuna, because you reminded us from the old times when we were in our villages, because they participate on our liturgy through Facebook.
Yeah, that's lovely. A gift for them. There's another question here from someone who is wondering about your opinion of which Emmaus is the New Testament Emmaus.
What? I didn't understand.
I feel like this is referring to something I don't know about either, but they're wondering, is there a controversy about which modern Emmaus is the New Testament Emmaus?
What?
If you don't have an answer, that's okay.
No, I don't understand. What is the Emmaus?
أبونا I can help. أبونا بسأله على أنواع أمواس، في 3 أمواس.
Emmaus. Yeah. Yeah, I have here, you know, Emmaus is Emmaus. Emmaus, Nicopolis, which is nearby Latrun. There is no doubt. Now in why? Normally, pilgrims who come to the Holy Land would choose to visit one of the 3 places. One is Abu Ghosh, where there is a Crusader church with the Benedictine monks, which is a very beautiful church. This is not Emmaus. The second is nearby Ramallah, Al-Qubaybi. And in fact, the Franciscans, the second day of Easter, Monday of Easter, they go and celebrate there. But normally, Monday of Easter, people go from Jerusalem to Emmaus, Nicopolis, and celebrate the Mass in the old Byzantine church, which was found in Emmaus. And this is a walk of 1 day. In the Gospel, it is written that it is 160 ghalwa, which means almost 30 kilometers, more or less. So it was the morning of Easter, these 2 disciples of Emmaus walked and arrived to their village at the sunset. And in fact, they told it is night is coming, remain with us, Lord. And they say, remained with them. So according this distance, the more logical place. And I have another answer. This church was not known before 1870. The church of Emmaus Nicopolis was covered. It was under rubbles, and it was a hill, almost a hill, Telly. So what happened? One of our saints, Mary of crucified Jesus, was a visionary woman. She came from Nazareth, was a Carmelite, to Bethlehem to found the Carmel of Bethlehem. So they came from that way. When she arrived at that point where we have now the church, she said to everybody, stop here, stop here. Under this hill, there is a church where Jesus met the two disciples of Emmaus. And in fact, the Bethlehemite congregation priest, they bought the land and started the excavation, and they found under this hill, which was covered, this beautiful old Byzantine church with mosaics in which it is written Emmaus Nicopolis. So, and this woman who was a nun, she died when she was very young, 33 years old. She became saint in 2015, it was proclaimed. Maryam Bawardi, she is from Abilene. Abilene is 20 kilometers far from Nazareth. I visited Abilene, and they have very beautiful olive trees. So for me, I believe this story and this place is the original Emmaus.
Thank you so much for your answer. I love the passion and knowledge with which you speak to us.
We are storytellers like Jesus.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we are out of time.
When the story is your own story, you are not telling a story of other people or from the moon and from Mars. It is your story, your history, your people, your land. You have this passion to tell it with all your body. This is the body language, with your eyes, with your nose even, and with your hands. So I am telling you something I lived for 20 years. Yani, you can't say, I am not, I don't want to be شو مدعي متكبر شو بيحكوا متكبر
you want to be humble, Abuna.
I don't want to be to exaggerate. You are speaking with the biggest expert of olive trees in the world, not only in Palestine. This is also about olive oil and other techniques, olive presses, all the history. I have all these documents. So, but I am telling the story of my people through the olive trees. That's it.
Yes,
Tell you, they sometimes these last days, because I said the story of Birwi, of Safuri, of Al-Shajra, of Libya, of Emmaus. You are not afraid? Told them, I'm not afraid. I am showing olive trees. These olive trees were planted by our forefathers hundreds of years ago. So they have done a mistake. They destroyed the houses, expelled the people, and they left the olive trees. So the olive trees are the witness of their occupation.
Yes.
I'm sorry to tell you, this is the story. This is why I am doing this work. I would not waste, you know, when you have to walk in a destroyed village, you will not find a road, a way. You have to climb the stones, you climb among the thrones, shock, and so on. It is very hard. It takes sometimes, you know, I start at 9 o'clock. I look at my watch, it is 4 o'clock afternoon. And I forget time because every time, this is a very beautiful olive tree. This is bigger. This is more interesting. So the olive tree is calling me, telling me, come and see me and take the picture. So I can't tell the story to this olive tree. I will not take your photo because you are not so huge. Like, so you don't know how it is strange. People were hard worker. They planted mountains of trees, of olive trees especially. And so now these olive trees are abandoned. I'm looking for them. But before going to this village, I take this book and read about this village, all the details about the name of the families. I tell you, to finish, story of a village near Akko, Sahmata. It's called Sahmata. This, I found interesting things there. So I discovered that in Sahmata, there was 39 families. Not only family, father and mother, families like family As'ad, family Tammuz, family so on. So and 95% of these people are living in Lebanon, in refugee camps. And they have a homepage, suhmata.com. So when I published the documentary about them, all of them started to write to me. We thank you for sharing this story. So what I said, I told them I will dedicate the most beautiful olive trees, put the name of every family on a beautiful olive tree. So the story, so I found the 39 olive trees, very huge, very beautiful. As'ad family tree, Tammuz family tree, Jubran family tree. And people were very excited to know that this is our tree is in Sahmata, you know? And people wrote me, thanking me. And even there is a singer, very famous. There is a family Al-Jishi, and his name Haytham Al-Jishi. He said, told me, I told him when he saw the olive tree of his family, I don't know that this olive tree is for his family, but I chose this beautiful olive tree for Al-Jishi family, okay? He said, I would like to sing a song for Sahmata. So find me a very beautiful poem, and we will do a melody, and he will sing it about his village. So imagine this Al-Jishi olive tree provoked him and emotioned him, and he suggested to sing a song about his village that he never visited.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Abuna, for these stories. You're really showing us how connected it is with these old trees. And now we also want to help people learn how they can help to plant new olive trees in Palestine in order to, continue from the trees that have been uprooted.
This is another, might be a very good initiative. For example, in Ramallah, there is a very beautiful Tarfidia place. They, during the month of March, every visitor who comes, he will plant an olive tree. So here, Zohair Jahab from the family Jahab, I wrote him because he's following my stories. I would like to go and plant the Gethsemane olive tree in your garden in Tarfidia. He was very excited. So I have a 7 years old olive tree from Gethsemane, from the same olive trees of Gethsemane. And my problem is that I don't have time, but I will go, hopefully as soon as possible, to plant the Gethsemane olive tree in his Ramallah Park. So it would
Great,
be
yes.
great.
Well, let me share with everyone here what they can do, if you don't mind, Abuna. So we have a Kumi action for everybody. And our action for this week is to plant or name a tree in your garden and or in front of your house, place of worship or institution in an act of solidarity for Palestine. Call it a tree of hope for peace with justice around the world, an idea from Palestinian farmers, and place a sign in front of the tree for everyone to see. So we also encourage you, in addition to naming or planting a tree in your own home, to sponsor an olive tree in Palestine. So for US $20, you can sponsor the cost of the young plant, the distribution, planting, and information for the farmers on best techniques to care for the olive tree and production. And the cost will also cover official certificate of the sponsor label that will be put up in the field where the tree is planted. So every person who sponsors can receive a certificate of appreciation from the YMCA-YWCA Joint Advocacy Initiative, through which you can plant the trees, or a partner organization in the sponsor's respective country. So to sponsor an olive tree, you can go to the website, which Ryan has posted in the chat. And whether you plant your own tree or sponsor one, be sure to take photos and share what you've done on social media and encourage others to do the same. So post these photos along with the message, I planted or I sponsored this tree for Palestinian farmers, and include a link to this page of the Kumi Now website, along with the hashtags, hashtag Tree of Hope, hashtag Kumi Now, and hashtag Kumi11. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We will be posting a link of this video. Yes, Abuna.
Yeah, I would like, you said I show you the day of my ordination, 22nd of June 1990. I planted this olive tree, which is behind me, in front of our house in Zababdi. And this is my mother and my father, who are farmers. So this it was 1 year old, the olive tree. So now it is 30 it's bigger. This is the day of my ordination.
Wow.
So and in our house we have a tradition. Every single visitor who comes from all over the world, because we have sometimes visitors, he should put water, cup of water on my tree, on my olive tree. Not just to share with you. So the passion for olive tree started 30 years ago. So this olive tree is planted in front of my house the day of my ordination. And it is now 30 years old. It is big, but you know, it takes time. You need a lot of passion. We, after 7 years, 8 years to have the harvest. So our farmers have a lot of passion, like we say in Arabic, زرعوا فأكلنا نزرع فيأكلون. We planted and they ate, and they plant and the others will eat. So olive tree takes time to give a product. So give me, this is, I take this picture with me everywhere because I planted this olive tree the day of my ordination.
And the way you and your visitors have watered the tree, you have watered us with your stories today, as Denise is telling us. So thank you again, Abuna.
Thank you very much.
Shukran.
Shukran, Amar.
And thank you to everyone for joining us today. A link of this video, along with all the links shared today, will be available on the Kumi Now website and on YouTube in a day or so. And it will be shared in the next newsletter. Remember, you can always subscribe to Kumi Now on YouTube or subscribe to our newsletter to make sure you receive them. And we would greatly appreciate if you share this session with your friends and colleagues, as well as information about future Kumi Now. So next week, we will welcome back our good friend, Dr. Mazen Kumsia of the Palestine Institute for Biodiversity and Sustainability. And
You have to hear him, he's a good one.
Yes, yes, so we all have to come back
I make
for it.
publicity for him.
And also,
No, he's a good speaker. He's a friend of mine. So don't miss this appointment.
yes, thank you. And Dr. Mazen Kumsia is also at the Palestine Museum of Natural History at Bethlehem University. So if you would like to be reminded of the online gatherings an hour before they begin, again, remember to register for the reminders at kuminow.com/online. So we hope to see you all back here next week. Thanks again, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Abuna. Thank you.
Shukran.